Since its inception in 2000, the Niagara Community Foundation has granted $21 million to important causes across Niagara. When the pandemic hit 2 years ago, the urgent need for emergency response forced the foundation to adapt and also to reflect on what their role is in the region. We're joined by Executive Director Brian Rose and Suzanne Veenstra, the Marketing Director. Brian, you were planning to celebrate the 20th anniversary 2 years ago. How did that, I guess the postponement of that, change your focus a bit?
That's exactly right, Mike. We had some plans for our 20th, and we were really excited to talk about the impact that we'd had in the community. One of the big events, one of our only major events, was our leadership breakfast each fall, and we were going to make that a birthday party. But obviously, COVID had different plans for us. So we took a step back. We did an amazing video series that Suzanne oversaw for us and put together. So we very subtly just celebrated ourselves, but coming out of the pandemic, we just wanted to do something with a little more, to reintroduce ourselves back into the Niagara community.
And that's where this rebranding comes in.
Absolutely.
So you reached out to Suzanne as the marketing director, and Suzanne, what was the process?
It's been quite the process. So we started off with doing a bit of an internal audit. So being able to look inward and really to be identifying who we are, what we stand for, but also what is our reputation in Niagara that we really would like to capitalize on. So we hired our good friends, Armstrong Strategy Group, to do that and help us kind of navigate some of that communications audit and identify a bit of a strategy of how we want to come out of this. Through that, they came up with a number of recommendations of things that we could do to both capitalize on those opportunities, but also address some of the opportunities that we have, some of our weaknesses within our communications. And one of the first recommendations was this rebrand process. So that's what we did. We put out an RFP process to hire an agency, a creative agency, to help shepherd this process. And we hired Hughes & Company to do the creative work. And again, really looking at who are we as an organization? What is our reputation in the community? And how do we really be able to reflect who we are? We have a strong reputation here in Niagara and a long history in Niagara. So we wanted to be able to reflect that as well as propel us forward into this next chapter.
Brian, as executive director, what was important for you in this new brand?
I think for us was to strengthen and galvanize our current reputation, our existing reputation, and build on that. My predecessor, Liz Palmieri, did an amazing job for the first 15 years of the foundation, building us, giving that exact foundation to the foundation. And so for us, it's how do we turn that page and build and develop that. So continuing the strength of what we do, but also leveraging that. And we're now a $76.5 million organization, a far cry from the organization that started 21 years ago with two $100,000 gifts. So time for us to continue to build and grow. So those were the important things for us.
When you looked at this, Suzanne, did you ever think that perhaps you would come up with a different name for the foundation? Did that go through your mind at all?
That wasn't a priority for us. We really wanted to stay true to that identity that had been established and that had gained that awareness in the community. One of the pieces within our audit was we recognized that in some ways we were Niagara's best kept secret. It was one of the lines that came from that. We wanted it to become more of a household name. But starting with a brand new name would kind of start us back at square one. So we know that we had already kind of gained some momentum with being Niagara Community Foundation. But one of the things that many different partners are noticing as well is that the new logo really puts an emphasis on our initials, the NCF piece of our identity. And that was intentional. That was something that we really looked at and reviewed and to identify, was this the right step forward? And so this is really a complement to our existing identity. So Niagara Community Foundation, of course, is a known name, and we hope it to become even better known. But also, we recognize that internally, within our staff and boards and volunteers, we refer to ourselves often as NCF. And also, our fund holders refer to us as NCF. So what we wanted to do with this new brand was be able to create a complement where those two things could be interchangeable. So it could be known as NCF or Niagara Community Foundation, that they're not in competition with each other, and one isn't replacing the other, but really we can have that flexibility, also a flexibility within our communications. Part of this rebrand was to modernize, recognizing that the communication modes have changed over the last 21 years, and the needs that our old logo served no longer are meeting the needs of modern communications. So whether that is being adaptable to social media, being more of an online-based kind of communication, We wanted a logo that was really adaptable and flexible to meet those various different needs. So having our acronym of NCF would just provide so much more flexibility, being able to create those social icons and so on. And also then for the newer audience and possibly a younger audience and our new potential fund holders to be able to have that complement of that name was really a great move.
Brian, does the move to the new brand, does that give you an opportunity to re-educate people about what Niagara Community Foundation is all about, how they can contribute to any of the 400 funds?
Absolutely, Mike. So it gives us an opportunity to highlight ourselves and talk a little bit more about ourselves in and amongst the community, hence why we're thrilled to be talking to you today. We would like to, spread the gospel, as it were, of who we are and how we have tremendous impact, how we partner with the local charities here in Niagara, how we serve our fund holders and make sure that their philanthropic dreams and goals happen. Talking to you, having some radio time as well. We want Niagara to know who we are and how we can help them and the community.
The rebranding comes on the heels of the largest donation.
That's true.
To the Sport Performance Center.
That's correct, yeah. So our largest single grant in our history was just recently announced to the Canada Games through our David S. Howe's Fund. So $655,000 has gone to that project. We're proud to partner with the Canada Games through Mr. Howe's and his legacy. The people that we've spoken to who knew David said this was a home run, that David would absolutely have been supportive of the Canada Games and what it's going to do for Niagara. So it was a natural partnership for us, but also not at the expense of still supporting social services and the environment and the other things that we support through the David S. Howe's Fund. So we were able to do both.
Suzanne, some work ahead of you now to get this logo out there and rebrand everything, the stationery on down, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The rollout of this is a whole other project.
New lapel pins.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
New
that's
lapel
right.
pins, yeah.
So we, of course, we've done some of the heavy lifting, but now this is going to be a bit of a transition phase. And so your viewers and our stakeholders can really expect this to be hopefully a quick transition, but also one that you'll still see our old logo in the archives and lingering for a little bit as we do this rollout. But yeah, we have a lot of work ahead to kind of bring that up to speed, but also trying to make it really accessible. We, as a community foundation, of course, have many different partners, many charity partners and fund holders that have our logo and have our identity kind of wrapped up with theirs. And so we're trying to make that accessible as well on our website, making all of those brand assets very accessible. People can just go to the footer of our new website, download all of those new logos for their own kind of updates. So hoping that will help kind of speed up the process as well to get that out in the community.
Perfect. Suzanne, Brian, thanks so much for joining us and bringing us this information. Congratulations on this next step in the future of NCF.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thrilled to be here.